All right, y'all. Y'all know it's been a crazy, crazy, crazy week in Houston sports. Again, like we said every week, but every week it gets crazier. Like every time you think it's going to die down a little bit, it ramps up to an even higher level than we thought was possible. And now I think we're at the precipice of the issues with the Houston Texans right now. And so we had to bring in a special guest, friend of the show. Second week in a row, we've had a former Texan on, by the way, the man that made help make our previous guest great, protecting him, making sure he could get off on the line of scrimmage. So
He shouted y'all out too. He shouted y'all out in the podcast too. He said
he
he had
did.
with boy.
You see the jersey up, bro.
I see it from his NFL Network headquarters over here. We've got the great Wade Smith is joining us to help us break down and make sense of what's going on with the Houston Texans. First off, real quick welfare check, man. How you been? I know you probably been tapped in a lot. Tapped in for a lot of comment since it's very, very hot around the Houston Texans right now, and everybody wants to know how players, former and current, are feeling about it. But how you been personally, man?
I've been good, man. Family been doing good. We had a little COVID quarantine session that we had to do for a couple of weeks because a couple of my seeds came down with it, and so they ended up getting through it in 2 weeks, and they're back to normal now. But we had to quarantine. They basically had their own apartment for a couple of weeks and got room service and all that type of stuff, and it sucked, but it worked out good for us because they didn't really have any bad symptoms. Most of their symptoms that they had was mostly like what you would have just from allergies and stuff like that, and so. And then nobody else in the family caught it. So besides that, we've been good, man. We're trying to be as normal as possible under the circumstances, and stuff is starting to become normal now. Like going to academy to get my daughter some soccer cleats, and you just get out your vehicle and everybody's walking around in masks. People ain't tripping. It's not, you see sometimes like the viral stuff that'll be on internet, and it's people in Walmart and they holding marches and take your mask off. It's fine. I have never experienced anything like I haven't experienced anything like that so far. And we're in Texas. It's not like I'm sure there's a good amount of people down here that don't want to wear a mask and think it's all fake or whatever it may be. But people are respecting one another and wearing their masks. It's becoming normal. And so, any chance I get to take it off when I'm at the crib, in the car, whatever like that, I do. But that's kind of the only thing that's really abnormal is like when you go into any public entity, it's become normal now to put on your mask and expected to see everybody else in there like that. But besides that, man, it's been straight.
Very true, man. I got to say, though, I've seen a few Walker, Texas Ranger, lone rebel type people at the HEB lately, man. I see a few, and it's always the old people, too, which gets me because, like, y'all the most vulnerable. But y'all the ones over here riding around like outlaws, not wearing the mask, knowing you getting dirty looks and not caring.
But think about it like this. If you 65, 70 years old, whatever it may be, you done lived this long. I know how my grandma is. She damn near 80 now. I know how my grandma is. You can't tell her nothing. So it's like if she don't want to capitulate, she's not gonna capitulate. Grown folks are grown. And so if listen, I ain't got much life left to live anyway. I'm gonna live it the way I want to live it. I really can't get mad at that, but I ain't trying to walk near you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna move this way, or move that way, and you go that way.
Yeah, especially if you was at that damn rally and shit out in the boondocks.
Yeah,
no mask.
I understand that mindset, but at the same time, I'm like, COVID is a terrible way to die, man. Like it's very painful. Biggie had it. He said he felt like he was going to go a few times, and he's young. So, like, if I was living that YOLO lifestyle, I wouldn't want to get COVID to end it, man. I'd be like,
I mean, think about that. Like Sekou Smith, man, R.I.P. Sekou Smith, but he's probably like 45 or something like that. He's not very that old, man. A young dude.
He's like 47.
Yeah. So it's tough, man. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people passing away these days.
Yeah, and it hit people different, man. Like I ain't had no health problems. I ain't had no breathing problems, and I'm just now getting over the fact that I don't be out of breath now.
Yeah,
because it really jacked up my lungs.
You know what you can do though? They got these little machines. And they're real cheap too, like $20-$30. You can get them online. It's like a breathing deal that for people that go into surgeries. It's like a normal breathing thing. We got those for my daughters after they had it, just to make sure they get their win back because they're athletes. But Trap J told me about this because he knew about it from just his kids in the past. And he was like, get them on there doing regular breathing exercises like 4 times a day. So Figgy, when we get done with this, I'm gonna shoot you a link to what it was.
Send me that
because it'll help you build your lung strength back up after you had it. Because that's a common repercussion of getting COVID is your lung capacity drops and it makes you feel like you're out of breath a lot. So yeah.
Good look. And I've changed my mind. I'm now down with the vaccine. I talked to Arian Foster about it and he made sense. But all I'm saying, I heard the newest version is one you take in the butt. And I'm not taking that one, man. You ain't heard that? They're talking about a vaccine. It's supposed to be more effective, but you take it up the butt. I'm not taking that vaccine.
What do you mean by up the butt?
You take it
in your cheek?
Yes. And you're behind.
I didn't know if you saying it's like it's a suppository or you saying.
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe something like that. I just heard.
I mean, if it's something like an injection in your cheek, that's one thing. That's normal. You get tore it off. But he talking about a suppository. You're too old for that. So now you're gonna have to get a different type of. That's something you do. That's say for like 3-year-olds and younger. To get suppository, 2-year-olds and younger. That's it. That's for the birds.
Yeah, we got to figure out something else for the vaccine in that case. But anyway, we have digressed a little bit. Let's get back on topic, man. We got to talk about what everybody's interested in, what everybody's talking about nationwide.
NFL music.
Okay, let's get our Houston, Texas music going. Yeah. Okay, here we go. The classic NFL music. Okay, we need more of like what's that show? Benny Hill. I think the Benny Hill theme would more fit this scenario right now. But yes, as everybody who's been following knows, the Houston Texans situation has hit its precipice in fuckery. Basically, we have a new head coach. And Deshaun Watson has apparently officially requested a trade to the front office. This apparently happened weeks ago. So let's get your reaction on the latter part first, Wade. Knowing that you have been with the Texans and you've been very open and honest about how they conduct business, how surprised were you when you learned that Deshaun Watson wants out now?
This is the thing, man. Like I've been in the league and been around the league for so long that you've seen so much crazy stuff happen that being shocked by anything is you become numb to it. Like you've seen it. I feel like I've seen it all now. If they actually execute this trade and make it happen, it will be the first time that something like that has ever happened. But nothing surprises me in this league, man. You got to understand that you look at it from Deshaun Watson's perspective. He's been part of the organization, give everything he can to the organization. He's played through injuries, played through broken ribs, ridden on buses, done everything the right way, played at a very, very high level. But there's been decision-making at the top that has been very, at the best way you can put it has been is questionable at best. Realistically, there's been a lot of really bad decisions made when it comes to personnel on the roster for the Texans over the past 3 or so years, since Deshaun has really been the starting quarterback. And so from his perspective, you think about what Deshaun always talks about. I want to be legendary. All he knows is winning. And so he don't want to get used to being 4-12. And the moves that are being made put you in a position that is very difficult to not be 4-12 or 6-10. And so, and the apparent reasoning behind the decisions that are being made really causes you to take a step back and say, man, hold on, what situation am I in right now? Do I need to get out of it? And so I think that's where you're seeing now where Deshaun is like, hey, it's not in my best interest to be here. I mean, a trust was broken. And people talk about, Deshaun is an employee. He has a contract, and that's completely true. He's an employee of the organization. He has a contract. You do have to understand this, though, is if somebody tells you they're going to do something and then they don't do it, there's a broken trust there. And if there's a broken trust there, I can't expect you to go back and trust somebody to do it after you've broken the trust. And that's on like just a man-to-man level. If Ryan and Figgy, I told you 2 days ago, whatever it was, I'm gonna come do this podcast with you, and then 2:00 come and I just don't show up, and then I don't answer my phone, and I don't do what I told you that I was gonna do. Y'all should feel some type of way towards me, because as a man, I told you, yeah, I can do that. Y'all could have made other arrangements. If I said that I couldn't do it, then you would have made other arrangements. But if I told you I'm gonna do something, I'm supposed to do it. That's something that you learn as a little kid growing up. Your parents teach you that, do what you say what you mean. And so they told him he's going to be involved in this process of as far as determining who the new GM and the head coach is going to be. They didn't do that. So at that point, why should he trust anything they say going forward? Especially when you're listening to all the reports. Basically what happened was when DeAndre Hopkins was traded last year, he was upset last year and wasn't taking any calls from them because he felt like y'all just took my best player from me, and we're supposed to be trying to build and get better, and you're taking away my best player, and you even tell me nothing about it. I'm hearing about it on Twitter. People calling me out the blue like, "Hey man, they just traded Hop." He probably like, "Nah, they wouldn't do that." And that's exactly what they did. Now Deshaun got a rude awakening to understand that this is a business and teams are going to do what they're going to do. Well, with that in mind, I'm sure when he signed his deals, he kept in mind, like, listen, let me make sure I put myself in a position. If they get to start acting crazy again, I can protect myself. Because hell, if they can trade Hop, why couldn't they trade me? You understand? So you put a no trade clause in the contract to where if they try to do something crazy and trade me for whatever reason that doesn't make sense, then I can protect myself and make sure that I go where I want to go, where it's good for me to go. And so you add all that stuff together, and this is here we sit. It's business. Fans look at it. It's personal to fans, and I understand that completely. I understand that because I'm a fan of the team. I want to see them win. You trade away Deshaun Watson, the chances of you winning go down damn near impossible. It's going to take you a while to build back up to where you get there. And this team in 2019 wasn't that far away. People can debate that, but they weren't that far away. They were up 24-0 on the road against the Chiefs, and then they threw the game away because of bad decision making and amongst other things. But it just doesn't make sense to me that people would really blame Deshaun for handling business. And this situation that he's in is unprecedented from the decisions that the organization has made. There's been no other organization that have traded away so many of their best players and got so little in return over a short period of time. And the person that is supposedly the one behind making it happen wasn't held accountable. And that's the big problem. If you're an organization and you feel like that's one of the one things I really, not one of the one things, a lot of things that I love about the NFL is you get held accountable. If you produce, you will play. If you don't produce, you will sit or you will be doing a different profession. I can respect that. It's either you either do or you get done. All right. If all these moves were made by people that are higher ups and Bill O'Brien gets let go, then everybody that was involved in making those decisions is supposed to get let go. You get held accountable for your actions. That's not what's going on here. And so with that being the case, now if I'm a person that has leverage to get out of a situation like that, like I don't want to be in a place where people don't get held accountable for them doing things incorrectly. Because if that's the case, then I don't trust how can I trust the people that are making decisions of people to play in front of me, behind me, beside me? because they might not necessarily even hold themselves accountable. That's like there's like a unwritten rule that holds everything together, that in this business, you're laying it on the line and I have to do my job and I expect the person next to me to do their job. And if they don't do their job, they'll get somebody else to replace them. And for players, it's seeming like that's going on, and with the head coach, that's going on, but it's not going on everywhere in the organization. And that being the case, it causes problems, and this is where we sit.
I feel you. It seems like you're kind of alluding to the Jack Easterby thing, and that's a question I kind of had too, because I kind of wonder, because you hear a lot. This is the man who apparently survived Bill O'Brien. He was a part of the regime, part of the decision crew that made controversial decisions like trading DeAndre Hopkins and not getting the first round pick for it, things like that. You would assume he would be gone once Bill O'Brien is gone. He seems to have gotten more power, and that's what seems to throw people off. We've had 2 Sports Illustrated, reports about him claiming various negative things about him just being a toxic presence in the organization. But Cal McNair seems to like him. So with Cal McNair, if you cool with him, you in there. So I want to ask you, because I know you still talk to people and you've got resources. Like, is a little bit of the Jack Easterby thing kind of overblown, or is it actually accurate for the most part? And the fact that he is a I don't want to say a cancer, but a toxic presence in the organization right now.
Well, I'll say this: he definitely is a highly influential person in the organization. Highly influential. He negotiated Deshaun Watson's contract, and this is not inside information. This is, they go up at a press conference and say Jack Easterby was essential, critical in the putting together the contract for Deshaun Watson. He was instrumental in making it happen. He did that. So understand that we're in a situation right now that Deshaun Watson wants out, and he has a no trade clause in his contract that was negotiated by Jack Easterby. That's a problem. If you negotiate contracts with no trade clauses in it, and then the person that you give that leverage to bucks, the fact that you negotiated in a contract, that's a problem. Like, that is a negative check on your ledger. You look at his bio on the website, it says that he's instrumental in putting the team together, the personnel together. That means he was instrumental in the decision-making and putting together the team that went out there and went 4-12. That's a problem. Now, the other person that was instrumental in that is not here. He still is. That's a problem. So if you're not holding everybody accountable, that causes problems within the organization. There's a lot of people in that organization that have been there for a long time, way before Easterby got there, that are leaving the organization. And it's not just in one part of the organization, it's all over the organization where people are being sent away and leaving. And that causes problems for the people that have been here throughout, and people that and it's not like these people were not widely recognized as good at their jobs. According to reports, John McClain is saying Jamie Roots is not going to be back. That's crazy to me. Like, Jamie Roots has been there since the beginning, but because of interactions with, Easterby or whatever, he's not going to be coming back. That's crazy. That's a problem. Now you have to replace that person in the organization. You got the Amy Pausick firing. You got all these different things that have gone on over the past. You look at the 2 Sports Illustrated articles that you put out there when you mentioned earlier, when they came out, my thoughts on them was, this could very well be 100% false, both of these, right? But especially that first, it could be 100% false, but it doesn't matter, because the perception is that it's true, one, and two, there's multiple people within the organization that feel this way. And if that's the case, how can you continue to function in an organization where people are uncomfortable with the people that are at the highest positions in the organization and think that it's going to work out? If the head is not right, then everything underneath it is going to suffer. And if you're saying, all right, the head, they might not think it's right, we are right, we're going to get everybody out that doesn't think it's right, that means there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be leaving the organization. If that's the case, if you're Deshaun Watson, that means with all this change and transition, that doesn't compute to wins. That doesn't compute to a happy work environment. That doesn't compute to a place that I necessarily want to be. And so this is where we sit. I mean, perception becomes reality, and there's too many things in those articles that came out that were really, really bad looks, really, really bad business, and they weren't refuted. And there's been certain things in those articles that have been refuted directly by Jack Easterby, but there's been a lot of things that weren't refuted. And it's not coming from just one source. It's not from a player or two. It's not from a front office person or two. It's like coming from every angle that you could imagine. And so with that being the case, it's like, you know, how do you expect it to work if you have that type of feeling within a building? How do you expect the building to function properly? And they're trying to do things to fix that and correct that. But if you're Deshaun Watson, do you want to hang around to figure it out to see if it's going to work with the organization that you don't trust, that has shown you that they are untrustworthy when it comes to their dealings with you and other people? So I mean, the owner doesn't apologize to a player if he didn't do wrong, right? Like that has been reported that he apologized to Deshaun. It hasn't been disputed that he apologized. If he apologized, it's because he did something wrong. You can apologize to a person, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to be with you anymore. I mean, you think about any relationship. If you cheat on your girl and she find out you cheat on her, you can apologize all you want, but she might still leave your ass. And you can't be mad if she do. You can't be mad if she wants to get out. And it goes vice versa. Any man that has his girl cheat on him, and would you expect him to forgive her and stay? I mean, a lot of this thing, it comes down to breaking trust. They talk about all the time. It's business. Trust and relationships are so important when it comes to this business, because everything is so the difference between being a champion and being good and being average and being bad and being trash is not that much. And so if you don't have trust for the people in the organization, you can't succeed in that way. And so this is where we sit. We sit in a situation where there's a lot of broken trust. They're bringing in new pieces to try to reestablish that trust. But I can't expect Deshaun to forgive and forget. I can't expect him to. That would be great if he did that, but I can't expect him to, just like I couldn't expect that woman to forgive that man if he broke her trust, and vice versa. I can't expect him to. It would be great. It would be like a heartfelt, heartwarming story that they were able to get over that and get together, and people say, well, he signed the contract. He don't have to play. Nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. That is the beautiful thing about this country. You can't make me do anything I want to do. So you sign the contract, but the contract is I either play for you or I don't play at all. The contract doesn't say I have to play football these days, and if not, I go to jail. No, it's, hey, if I don't play football, I got to pay you back some of this money I owe, and that's it. And I can't play nowhere else. And apparently Deshaun has gotten to the point where he said, I'd rather do that than to stay in this relationship. And you can think of many people that get divorced in life. They'll get to the point and say, I don't care how much money I lose. I'm not going to sleep in the bed with this person ever again. I'm done. They broke my trust. And so, and I'm kind of that type of person. I'm a Taurus. We're optimistic hell. But once you cross this and you done, and my wife is the same way, she's a Virgo. Once you cross this, you done. It's like I can move on and we can do this some. I can do bad by myself. I don't need to be with you and you doing me this way. And so I think this is where we is.
Do you think if they would have let go of Jack Easterby early on, do you think Deshaun would have even requested the trade? And a couple of days ago, they introduced the coach, David Culley, 65-year-old David Culley. Mm-hmm. And I noticed right after that, that's when he requested the trade. Do you think it was a possibility they said he requested a trade 3 weeks ago, but Do you think it's a possibility that he was probably trying to see if they would hire the enemy to see, and once he seen who they hired, then it was like, all right, make this public?
No, I don't think it was that is all. That was something that we was hoping it was the case because we didn't know exactly what went into the decision making. For the Texans to choose Cully, that lets you know that, first of all, they already knew. They knew that he had requested a trade a few weeks ago. Mind you, a few weeks ago was when the whole press conference for Caserio went down. So apparently, it was right around that time that press conference for Casario's happened. He officially requested a trade, right? And so they're interviewing all these candidates, and they know that they got a problem with Deshaun that they got to fix. And so I don't think it was a scenario where Deshaun was holding out hope, because they were saying throughout the time, it doesn't matter what coach they choose. I'm gone. Now, your question about if they would have fired Easterby, a long time ago, I think it depends on how long ago they did it. If they did it right at the end of the season, like right when the season ended, if they would have fired Easterby at that point, I think there would be a good chance that Deshaun Watson wouldn't have put in a request for a trade, because everything that I've gathered is Jack Easterby is trying to install a certain vision. And this is his words. This is a certain word. These are coming from his words. He's trying to install a certain vision within the organization. And I'm not mad at that vision, because a lot of the things that that vision entails, there's good within it. The problem is that good within that vision, it eliminates so many of the people that you could possibly fit into that box that you want to put people in, right? And some people are in that box and they enjoy being in that box and they thrive in that box, and that's fine. But not everybody fits into that. And so by you eliminating a certain subset of people, now it makes your margin for error that much smaller. It makes it that much difficult for you to operate in a business where everybody else is not working under those same set of constraints that you have. Like if you're telling me that out of 100 dudes, there's only 40 of them that fit our type of guy, that's a problem, especially when out of those 100, 85 of those guys are actually good people. Like they're actually good people, but they don't fit into exactly what we need, that 40 people. And some of these numbers, I'm not being specific with these numbers, but I'm just trying to give you a general idea of how much that makes it more difficult for you to be successful. If you're telling me you'd rather have David Johnson in the building instead of DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think you understand ball. I don't think you understand what it takes to win in the NFL. If you would rather have Jacob Martin and Barkevious Mingo as opposed to Jadeveon Clowney in your building, I don't think you understand what it means to win in this league. I think that you want to make a utopia within your organization and it permeate throughout the entire city and be a beacon of light for the entire league to say, hey, we can do it this way and win. And that would be great if you could do that. But the chances of that happening are damn near impossible. And it's damn near impossible. It's never been done before. And you didn't have the people in the building to like make that happen. Like why would you not try to trade, if you're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona, why not try to get Buda Baker in a first round draft pick in the process instead of David Johnson? Buda Baker is one of the best safeties in the league. You need help on defense. You're letting safeties go. Why would you not make that trade? That's a good value trade. You're not getting value back in return. It's going to cost you. It's going to translate to what goes on the field. You can have everybody is, gung ho and the right type of guy that's going to go 120% every day. But if they're not good enough in this league, it don't matter. If you don't got enough guys that can be playmakers and win their one-on-one matchups, you're not going to win. I don't care how disciplined you are, because this is not high school football, to where if I run the wishbone against a team that got a bunch of 5-star recruits and they're undisciplined, we can beat them. Nah, because a lot of these dudes like DeAndre Hopkins that because, these guys work extremely hard. They're hardworking guys as well. They run disciplined routes as well. They just might not kiss the ring. They might not feel like that they need to kiss the ring and capitulate to what you want them exactly to do. If you eliminate those guys from your roster, your ass is not going to win. And so that's kind of where we sit right now. I mean, they've brought in some people that, like Nick Caserio is a legitimate GM in this league. Like he has the pelts on the wall. You understand that he has a process that he puts together to evaluate and bring in players. But I don't think the same set of constraints that it's looking like he's going to have here in Houston is the same that he had in New England. Because in New England, they've had a bunch of guys in New England that have been not fitting in that specific box that it seems like that from all evidence they're trying to create here in Houston. And so, I mean, it seems like to me is that Easterby is kind of working unchecked, and he's fully like 100% all in on this vision. And it's dangerous because it's like the more people criticize him, the more he believes that he's right. Because a lot of the stuff he says is like usually the hard way is the right way. The hard choice is usually the right choice. The more people persecute you, and these are all biblical principles. Like the more people persecute you, the more that you're doing things the right way. And it's like, no, it's not that deep. It's like, no, you just like, this is incorrect. 1 + 1 does equal 2. Just because you think 1 + 1 is 3, and because a bunch of people tell you like, no, it's actually 2. That doesn't mean that you're right and you figured out some new math. Like, nah, bro, like 1 + 1 is 2. So if you get rid of these players and you don't get back players in return, you're going to not be able to win ball games. And so this is where we are. I don't even remember the original question. I talk about it. Like, it's crazy.
I feel you.
I mean, it's just all of these different decisions that have been made had led us to this point. That's why this is unprecedented. That's why unprecedented. You don't see quarterbacks do this and feel like they need to protect themselves from something like this, because organizations, in my bad figure, but the Cleveland Browns have made a lot of bad decisions, right? But they have not strung together a set of bad decisions with great players and just jettison them from the franchise. They don't do that. You know what I mean? Their decision making is really bad. It has to do with like the coaches they choose. You know what I mean? And the investment.
I kind of look at that as more as bad luck. They just the one thing I do appreciate about the Browns is they at least try something different. Right. Like they tried the Patriots way, they tried the Andy Reid way, they tried all type of way. They did the money ball, the power ball shit, the tank. They tried
that was with Sashi Brown.
Yeah, Sashi Brown and
that's how the Texans got Deshaun, because Sashi Brown, shout out to Sashi Brown.
Yeah, they tried all type of ways. So I can at least give them that. They didn't stick their guns out and say, hey, let's keep Freddie Kitchen, even though all these players don't really fuck with him like that.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I do appreciate. But with the Texans, it seems like they don't care what other people think. They want to get this culture in the building. And if you don't like it, you out.
And there's something to be said for that. You shouldn't care what people say outside the building. But what you should care is what the people that you do business with say about what you're doing inside the business. Because when Bill O'Brien and Easterby were at the helms and making deals, other teams was like, oh, we're going to take advantage of this. I mean, they became the mark. They were the mark in the league. Oh, we can get over on them. We can hustle them out of this. We can hustle them out of that. And that's exactly what happened.
Started with the Clowney.
Yeah. I mean, they made that trade, and I was like, they traded for who and for what? And then they'll try to explain it away like, no, this Jacob Martin kid, Jacob Martin is a fast twitch guy. He goes 110 miles an hour every play, but you don't trade Jadeveon Clowney for Jacob Martin. You just you don't do that and expect to improve as a franchise. You just don't do that. You know what I mean? You don't spend what you spent on Randall Cobb when nobody else on the market was going to give him that deal. Why give him that money if nobody else is going to give him that money? That's bad business. If you do bad business, you will get bad results in what you produce. And that's what happened with the Texans. So Deshaun is probably like, man, and JJ, and it's a bunch of cats trying to get out of it. And to think about this, JJ and them was thinking things were going to be all right once they got Bill O'Brien out the building. But the main person that was the Kaiser Sose, the
Peter Baelish,
the little finger, like he was the one conducting it all along. And so getting Bill O'Brien out there, that didn't make any difference. So I mean, they wanted to get Nick Caserio 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it just was handled badly. Yeah, I wish you could go back in time and they actually bring in Nick Caserio and see if things would be as bad as they are now. Because I feel like if Nick Caserio was in the building, they would have traded away the same people, but they would have gotten value back, and so that the team would not be in such a disarray. And that's the problem. They did a double whammy by trading away your best players and not getting enough value back. And so here we sit.
Yeah, and on top of the people they signed, they probably wouldn't have signed to Eric Murray for that much money.
Yeah.
Or Randall Cobb for that much money.
Why trade for Duke Johnson and not use him like you should use Duke Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being an issue between the front office moves and the actual coaching and your scheme and how you utilize the moves that have been made, not being on the same page or not being able to follow through with the plan. If you follow through with the plan, then those deals make sense. Duke Johnson is a good football player. He's worth a third or fourth round pick if you use him right. But if you don't use him right, then that becomes a potential good decision becomes a bad decision. You sign Eric Murray. Eric Murray is the dude that you're supposed to sign for like 4 years and $12 million. He's like a $3 or $4, maybe $5 million. You think Eric Murray is a better player than Deshaun Gibson? Deshaun Gibson got a much more effective deal than that, but he got his deal when Brian Gaine was a GM. When Brian Gaine was a GM, he brought in Deshaun Gibson. That's the thing. So if you go back in time, Deshaun Gibson was signed here, and they let Ty Matthew go because they wasn't going to pay Ty Matthew $14 million. That's good business. Matthew was a great player for Kansas City, but I don't think he was going to be a great player for Houston because of schematically it just didn't fit, right? So that's a good move. All right, you let him go, you bring in Deshaun Gibson. Deshaun Gibson comes in, plays he's a solid safety. He gets a little banged up. Then there's an issue between him and the coaches. And then they sit him out in the AFC Championship game and he was healthy to go. And if he plays, maybe there's a little bit of difference what happens in that division round game. Maybe they don't give up 51 straight points or whatever it ended up being. Maybe they come out with that W.
Check Kelsey.
Huh? Yeah,
he be the guy to check Kelsey.
He was brought in specifically to check Kelsey. And when they played him the first time that season, he did a good job against Kelsey. But then when you get because of ego, because of stubbornness, we'll play him without you. We don't need you. And then they sent his ass away. So now you lost Matthew and you lost Gibson, the guy that was the guy that was bringing you value because you saved on the money you spent him, and he still played at a level like Ty Matthews' season wasn't any better than Deshaun Gibson's season that he had. So that means, okay, cool. You saved that bread and you got the same amount of production from the safety position. So that's a good look. Good job, Brian Gaine. But then you get Brian Gaine out of here. And then it's like, all right, we're going to get Deshaun Gibson out of here too. So you get him out of here too. We'll bring in Eric Murray. He's more versatile. He's going to help us in that way. Versatility is you have to be really good at something before versatility becomes a strength for you. If you are not good at one thing first, then that versatility doesn't do any good because that means you're going to put you at a bunch of different places, but you're going to struggle at all of them. So how's that bringing value to when it comes to winning and losing ball games? And so they've just made so many decisions like that it put them in a position that their defense was the worst in the league. And they stat-wise, it was like the worst defense in like 30 years or like fourth worst in like 30 years. That's crazy. Like you have to really try to have a defense that bad. And by their moves, they did, though. You let DJ Reader walk. You let Kareem Jackson walk. Don't even offer him a contract. Kareem Jackson has been balling since he left, and he was balling when he was here. Why do you not let that? Why do you not keep him? It just they made so many bad decisions, and here we sit.
You brought up a few things that kind of mirror what Arian said last week. I think are pretty interesting. One is the fact that he, at an early part of his career, he kind of divorced himself from the wins and losses. He viewed the NFL as a business because he realized that's what it is. And you said that Deshaun has probably realized that too. And he kind of divorced himself from the wins and losses. Like as long as he did the best he could, he wasn't too marred up in the wins and losses. So I am interested in how the players feel about what Deshaun Watson's doing right now, because we know there are a few Texans who are very vocal on social media. They send cryptic tweets, but we know what they're referring to usually. People like Charles O'Menu, who friend of the show, by the way, had him on previously, and Lonnie Johnson has commented as well. It appears they had no idea any of this was going on because they kind of at first said it was all cap. They said, y'all making a big deal out of nothing. Y'all just saying, what that media is going crazy. But now it seems like they're starting to slowly sink in the fact that, this is real. Deshaun is leaving the team. And I know a lot of players just view the NFL as a job. You do your best, you get a paycheck, and you're out of here. But I think a few are a little more invested in the wins and losses. JJ Watt gets up after a loss and he looks like his dog just died. Like he takes it very personal, it seems like. So what do you think? I know you've been in the locker room. How do you think the locker room, do you think anybody in there is looking at this? And I'm not trying to paint Deshaun as a bad guy. We know he's not. But do you think there are any guys in there who might look at what he's doing and saying, you quitting on the team, you quitting on us, you're supposed to be our leader? You think anybody's thinking that way right now?
There's for sure people that think that way, but you can't paint an entire locker room with a broad brush. There's a lot of people that come from different backgrounds, have a different perspective on life, a different perspective on business, a different perspective on what goes on in the locker room. I'm sure there is a handful, maybe a two or three handful of guys on the team that look at Deshaun and say, like, man, you're letting me down, or, I need you here, all those type of things. But the greater majority of guys understand that it's a business. They understand all of the decisions that have been made. They've been here right along. It's not like players are immune to knowing that, all right, the front office is messing up. Like, y'all fucking up right now. Like, what the hell are y'all doing? Why y'all traded Hop? Like, you don't think when the Texans traded or let Glover Quinn go and then brought in Ed Reed, people wasn't looking like, what the fuck we doing, dog? When they traded away D'Amico Ryans and brought in Brady James, people wasn't like, what the fuck we doing, dog? And you'll say that for a second, but at the end of it, but then it's like, man, what the fuck we doing? Man, they tripping. And then you go on and do your job. That's just how it is. It's not something to where you dwell on it all day, every day, and because you can't control it. Just like when Aaron was talking about the whole wins and losses thing, like, I don't agree with that. He was better than me to be able to divorce himself from that feeling. And thinking back to it, I mean, I hear him saying that, but I've been there through some of those losses and the way he reacted to him. And he was, I mean, I don't know what year he's describing where he felt like, it didn't really bother him anymore, but nah, bro. Like, some of them shits hurt, dog. Like a lot of some of them losses hurt, bro. And I was there. We was there all together, experiencing them losses together. Like, let's not get it twisted. A lot of cats care about winning and losing, especially when you're on a team that has a chance. Like, if you're on a competitive team, you really feel like that you can win. You care more than a person that's on a team that's trash and like, shit, we can't win anyway. Because you have to figure out a way to function at a high level. And if you take everything to heart, it will destroy your mental ability to function and work. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to compartmentalize it and say, hey, I did my job and that's all I can do. And I can't control the stuff that's around me. So I'm just going to continue to do my job. It's the same way when the front office does something that's crazy and you say, well, they tripping, but I can't control what they do in the front office. So I'm going to continue to do my job. That's what you have to do in those scenarios. But there's going to be people for sure that'll look at Deshaun. It's not going to be many, but it's going to be a couple people here and there to look at it like, man, you know, you signed the contract, bro. Like, I need you here. I can't believe you would do this or whatever. Because some people are lame. Some people, I mean, real talk, some people are lame. Some people don't understand business. Some people don't understand, and I don't want to just call them lame, but some people are easily swayed, or some people will just buy in wholeheartedly and say, hey, it's all about this logo, you know, it's all about this team or whatever it is. And to a certain extent, you have to have that type of mentality to fully become a team and win big. You know what I mean? You have to be able to have that type of mentality to have success on this level. And so it's kind of it's like a double-edged sword, and it's a catch-22, because like in one respect, you know, it's a business and you know that at any moment they can cut your ass. But if you don't fully buy into this organization that at any moment can cut your ass, you're not going to be successful. You might have some individual success, but you're not going to win as a team, because you need enough people to buy in order for you to have success. So it's kind of the dichotomy when it comes to playing in the NFL. That's just what it is.
Oh,
You know,
about to say something.
I was just gonna call out, like, that's very true, and I do think, and maybe I read this wrong. I don't want to cause no drama or speculate, but Charles Omenihu had a tweet after Figgy posted a clip, basically the clip about Aaron Foster saying, you know, him divorcing himself from wins and losses, somewhat. I'm paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
He said he gave his all for himself and his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
But Omenihu did have a tweet basically saying you can't just be playing this game for the money and the fame. It has to come from somewhere deeper. I don't know if he was referring to that clip that Figgy posted. Maybe it came across his timeline, but yeah, I figured every player cares if you win or lose to some degree. It might not ruin your whole day, but everybody in the NFL wants to win, you know. So
yeah, I think
I understand.
People are competitors. You can't be as good as Arian Foster was without being a competitor.
Exactly.
So if you're a competitor, you play to win, whatever the fuck you do. Like when he does his music, he tries to do his best at his music because he don't want his music to be trash. You understand? He's going to go out there and ball because he doesn't want to be considered trash. He wants to win. So, but what I think he's referring to with the whole wins and losses things is like, I'm not going to allow us losing a game when I did everything I could to win this game. And the people around me did everything we could to win this game. But for whatever reason, we didn't get it done, or it didn't happen. I can't allow this to override my well-being and my mental capacity to function on a day in and day out basis. Like, I can't do that. I mean, if you look at, and I guess a good example of this is how people were so like, damn, JJ just seems like he's mad at the world. Like every day he comes in here, he's mad at the world. JJ was mad at the world more, not because they were losing, but why they were losing. Like, if that compounds it, like when people are asking them questions about how can the defense get better and all this technique shit and fundamentals, bro, I don't care what kind of fundamentals you have if you're not good enough. If you're not good enough, all the fundamentals in the world is just make you die a slow death, but you still gonna die because you cannot. It's dogs on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the best of the best of the best. And if you ain't got enough players, then you don't have a chance. And so he has to sit up there at a press conference every day and say, yeah, you know, we got to play better. I got to do this better and all that type of shit. But he like, y'all fuckers let Kareem. Like, we can't stop the run. And the best, like 4 or 5 run stoppers we had in this organization, y'all traded away or let go. Kareem Jackson, widely known as the best tackling DB in the league for 10 years now, gone. Jadeveon Clowney, his best trait was being able to stop the run. DJ Reader, his best trait was to be able to stop the run. You let these guys go out the building, and then all of a sudden you're confused of why they can't stop the run. And if you can't stop the run in the NFL, your ass will be a trash defense. Yeah. If you can't stop the run, that means that these offenses are going to run a train on you, and you can't do nothing to stop it. And so, yeah, he's pissed off and frustrated every day, but it wasn't just because he was losing. It's because why they were losing. And because and how they were losing. They were losing because his side of the ball couldn't hold up, and they couldn't hold up because they let people go and they didn't replace them with people that could play. And that's the quickest way to piss off any veteran football player that has been there, done that, and seen a bunch. Two of the moves that pissed me off the most as a Houston Texan was trading away DeRico Ryans and replacing him with Brady James, and then letting Glover Quinn go and bringing in Ed Reed. Those moves didn't make sense because neither one of those players at that point in their career could play at the level as those guys that you had on the roster that you let go away or sent away. So now it makes it more difficult for us to win as a team. And everything in you says, well, fuck it, I'm going to put the team on my back. We're going to get it done ourselves anyway. But when you step back and you really look at it, you say, damn, dog, why did we do that? You know what I mean? And so that's just like, you don't want to have to live life like JJ, where JJ is pissed off every day. Fans might say that's what we want. What's what we want. Do you want the players to come shoot up the building? Like, do you want the players to self-medicate? Like, is that what you want? Because you care so much that if you continue to care that much, those are the type of things that you do to cope with it. You understand? And so that's not healthy. And it's an unhealthy way of living your life. And so that's why they're talking about now JJ trying to find a way out of here. Yeah, why would he want to be around this type of environment? Like, he understands what it's like to be in a good environment. He was hoping that was going to change when Bill O'Brien got fired. It didn't. So for him to want to leave, it's because he wants to be able to go to work and be happy. I think everybody watching this podcast that's listening to this wants to be able to go to work and be happy. And if you could figure out a way to make that happen, you would make that happen for yourself. So why look at somebody else negatively if they have the ability to do that? That's just weird. That's like a misery loves company type of mentality.
Yeah, your fans are largely hypocrites, man. And me and Figgy were talking about this earlier before the podcast, how, all these people are talking about, I stand with Deshaun. We were with Deshaun. We support Deshaun. Once Deshaun has made it known, he removed all the Houston Texans thing from his social media. And he was on a Versus last night with, I believe it was against Michael Vick. I guess Versus is doing like NFL battles for some reason. I don't know. It's weird.
They doing it,
but it's not even really. It's not a battle. Well, the Hop one and Jalen Rance, it's like battles, but it's like all in good fun. It ain't like it ain't like Gucci and Jeezy. They ain't doing it like that. But it's an interesting thing they got going on.
It's cool. But Deshaun Watson went against like Michael Vick and Deion Sanders asked real quick, and he kind of Deion asked him about, he basically just said, I'm excited to know where you're going. I guess they had a restriction where he couldn't really ask about the trade or the Texans period. But Deshaun kind of laughed it off and like, man, like hit my line. I'll tell you what's going on. And now fans are turning now fans are exposing that they only supported Deshaun Watson for selfish reasons, really. You liked him because he was on your team. And now that he's doing what's best for him, you don't like him no more. So whatever, y'all goofy for that.
That's par for the course, though. Now they not goofy. I mean, they goofy if you stand on the table 1 minute and then the next minute you like fuck them. Okay, you goofy for that. But the idea that a fan will support the person that plays on their team, and if they're not on their team anymore, then they don't really support them anymore. That's just the way things are. Like, to me, it is the exception when fans will support you regardless. And usually the ones that will support you regardless is the ones that interacted with you away from the game. Yeah. And they found out that you was a good person. And so wherever you go, they're going to support you. And that's more of a personal one-on-one level. And to me, that's more genuine anyway. But I mean, if you don't play for my team, why am I capping for you? Like, why am I, because fans watch games to say my team beat your team. They accept the identity of the franchise in their city, my city versus your city. That's just, it's the kind of the tribalistic way that human beings function, right? And so if you're not part of my tribe, if you ain't with us, then you against us. And so by Deshaun taking off the colors per se, then we're not rocking with you. The thing you have to ask yourself if you're a fan is, why is he taking off the colors? Why is he taking off the colors? Why? This is the kid. This is the same kid. Now, don't get it twisted. This is the kid that his first NFL check he gave to cafeteria workers. Nobody thought of that shit before. That's just the type of dude he is. His first check he ever got in the league. Some people, I've heard of them putting it on the wall and not cashing it. I've heard of that. I framed it and put it on the wall, didn't cash it. I've heard of people, I used my first check to pay for my mama's house. I invested my first check. This dude took his first check and gave it to the cafeteria workers because Hurricane Harvey just popped off and they houses flooded and they needed help. This is the same dude. So people that want to support him when he goes elsewhere, it's because of those type of things. They know this is a genuine dude. They know that the decisions that were made in the organization pushed them to this point. And so and he's a hell of a football player, hell of a dude. How can you not support him? That's like, people that support LeBron wherever he goes, or people that would support Shaq wherever he goes. And it's not like they did all of the good things that he did at such a young age. Like since later, LeBron has been really active and doing a lot of things that's good in the community. But rookie year coming off when he did that, when he did that, I said, man, this kid gets it. Like off the rip, like this kid gets it. Wearing the Warren Moon jersey his rookie year, walking into the building, the throwback Warren Moon. Come on, you paying homage off the rip in a generation where paying homage is not necessarily the first thought. I mean, I was like, okay, this kid gets it. And then playing with the broken ribs, like being supportive when he knew he should have started off the rip for Tom Savage, just doing everything the right. He did everything the right way until he got lied to. The trust was broken, and then he said, "You know what? I'm done." I personally understand that mentality wholeheartedly because I am the most optimistic person you're gonna come across. I'm gonna look at somebody and say, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna look at the bright side. But once you show me who you are and you tell them and you break that trust, then I will never believe you again. I'll never trust you again. I might have to do business with you for whatever reason, but you're gonna have the side eye the whole time. That's just I understand that. And so, fans are gonna be mad regardless. They're gonna be mad because they no longer can say, we beat you because we got him. You know what I mean? And so that's par for the course. So I don't look at them as goofy. I just look at them as like, you're fans, and that's how fans go.
I just think it's the energy behind it, man, because it seemed like it just a switch flip, and they just like shitting on Deshaun, like, oh, you need to play. You signed the contract. They saying all type of wild shit. But if JJ Watt come out there and do the same thing, it's like, oh, we're gonna miss you, JJ, and you did so much for the city and all this other stuff.
It's JJ had a longer career here. He looks to be fair, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's true, but I just hate seeing that, man, because like you said, Wade, Deshaun did a lot of stuff. he did a lot of stuff at a young age.
Yeah.
And if you're a real Texans fan and you looking and seeing what's going on, I feel like you got to feel him at some point. Like this team is not getting better at all. And if you feel like you need to move on, like I can't be mad at him because of that.
And this is the thing. You can't be mad at them because it's not like the team got worse because, people got hurt and it was some unfortunate events that happened. And so that's why we lost ball games. And if it was some situation where he's like, man, I want out of here. And that was the case, then I understand you feeling some type of way towards them.
Exactly.
But everybody understands, and I say everybody understands, people that's paying attention understand the decisions that were made to led them down this road. And those decisions were decisions that wouldn't be made by 31 other teams in the same league that you operate in. They would have made those deals. How did Stephon Diggs get a first round pick?
Over DeAndre Hopkins.
Over Hop at that time. Think about that. This year they both had like the same season. One guy's team was better than the other team, but statistically they had basically the same year. But one guy you get a first round pick for, didn't have to pay any extra money for him or nothing like that. The Texans had to pay David Johnson's contract, bro, $10 million. He was about to get cut.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like when you're making decisions like that, I can't even trust you to do your job. You want me to do my job right, but I can't trust you to do your job. And if you don't do your job, you're not going to be held accountable. This is not the place for me. This is not the right right environment. And the whole JJ thing, like JJ, if people turn on JJ, that would be a commentary on people.
Yeah.
Because JJ has done so much for this city, done so much for just period, that if you turn on JJ because he wants to get out of here, especially at this part of his career, that's just a commentary on you as a person. And if you tripping, I can't speak on why you tripping, but you tripping. JJ has done above and beyond. JJ was a big catalyst to why Bill O'Brien got out of here. Just off of that alone, you should be thankful for JJ Watt, because him getting into a full out argument with Bill O'Brien on the field, that was part of the things that led to where we are, to where Bill O'Brien got let go. But JJ has done above and beyond, and people can talk about his effectiveness over the past 5 or so years of his career and all those type of things. And those things can get fleshed out. You can debate that all that want to, but what he's done for the organization, what he's done for the city, you can't be mad at JJ. And if you mad at JJ, then that's just your problem. And I really can't even speak on your problems. You might need to talk to somebody about that.
That's true, man. And yeah, he had like a long career here, played through injuries, and so I don't think I get what Figgy's point was, but at the same time, like, yeah, I think JJ's a little bit different, but yeah, I think it's silly either way, because like you both said, Deshaun did a whole lot for the city. We don't want to hold you too long, man. We know you got things to do. So I'll ask my wrap-up question, and Figgy will ask his wrap-up question. My wrap-up question is this, man. I know we're a long way from training camp. I know we're a long way from the next season. We ain't even played the Super Bowl yet, man. This season ain't over yet.
Technically, talk about the Super Bowl, man. We just talking about Deshaun and Texans.
That's a crazy thing too. Like, I can't remember any point in time where the Texans were the leading story during the playoffs, when they weren't even in it.
Yeah.
So it's very crazy.
For all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. So I gotta ask, what are your predictions? Do you think? I think we can all agree that Deshaun's not going to change his mind. It seems like he is dead set on leaving the team, and the team, from what they've said during the press conferences, it seems like they are not interested in trading Deshaun yet. That could change, probably will change, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen closer to the beginning of the season? Do you think that Deshaun will actually sit out games? Like, how far do you think this will go before it is resolved? Like, where do you see this ending up eventually when the season starts?
It's going to end up with the trade right before the draft. Like, nothing's going to happen in the next couple months. We're going to be in limbo for a while, because I believe Nick Caserio is smart enough to understand that if we're going to make a move, we're going to get value for him. So that is a good thing that the Texans do have the Caserio in the building, to where he's going to make sure he extracts as much value out of his deal as possible. But it's either going to be a trade right before the draft, because that's when his value will be at the highest, because you can pick somebody within the next couple of weeks to become the new face of your franchise if you let him go or if you send him away. And it's either going to happen then, or it's going to happen next year. And I think Deshaun Watson will be willing to sit out the entire season off of the principle of the situation. I think you got to think about what happened with Dwayne Brown. People don't realize this, but this isn't the first time that there's been an issue to where a player was willing to miss games to get into a better situation. Like, Dwayne has been happy over the past, he's only been gone 4 or 5 years now. Like, Dwayne has been happy. Like, I keep up with him on a consistent basis. He's happy. He goes to work happy every day. You know what I mean? Like, that you can't really place a value on that. He lost money. He lost money on the front end, but he ended up getting his redone contract on the back end. And when he goes to work every day, he's happy. And so he was willing to sacrifice checks in order to make that happen. And when you get to a certain point in your life, it's you become willing and able to pull that off. Not everybody is in a stage of their life that can do that. Not everybody has the fortitude to do that. But when you have guys that do, this is the result. So it's going to be one or two things that's going to happen to where right before the draft because that's when the Texans can get the most value for him, or it'll be next season, like before in the off, like next off season. And people talk about, oh well, if he holds out that long, they'll still retain his rights. That's fine. But what'll happen is that the NFL is the boss. There's 32 teams, but the NFL is the boss. If you tell me the NFL is going to sit idly beside and let one of their biggest earners not earn for them for a whole year, you're out of your damn mind. Yeah. There will be pressure from other entities to say, hey, y'all need to figure out the best thing that y'all can do to get him back on the field and trade him away. So to me, this is going to be a trade that happens before the draft because that's when they get the most value. But if they both try to put their foot in the ground, they're going to put their foot down and say, nah, we're not budging. Eventually, I think the league would put enough pressure on the Texans to say, y'all need to trade him away because Deshaun Watson is worth $500 million probably to the NFL because whatever team he goes to, he's going to be worth $300 million. He's going to be worth. And as far as what he can generate in revenue, say all of those type of things, sponsorships, everything that comes along with his abilities and his marketability. And so they're not going to just let a guy that's marketable sit to the side. And I think he's shown that he's a man of his word, right? I tell you, I'm going to do something. If you get that upset when somebody breaks that word, that's because you are a man of your word. Like, don't tell me. That's the worst thing. The one time I got mad at my mom in life, she told me that if I got a scholarship to go to college, that she would get me a car to drive myself there. Now, I got my scholarship to go to college, and I was like, I wouldn't go car shopping. She like, I ain't got no money for no car. What you talking about? I didn't talk to my mom for like a month. This is my mama. You understand what I'm saying? I feel bad about it now, but you gotta understand, that was the first time ever in my life that she told me one thing and it ended up being something else. And it was like, to her, it was like a little flippant remark. Like, yeah, if you do that, shoot, I'll get you a car. I took that as, yeah. You know, it's almost like Ricky Bobby when he said, if you're not first, you're last. And his dad was like, you could be second, third, fourth, or fifth.
I was drunk when I said that.
He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I built my whole life around that whole idea. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, like he's not going to buck. He's not going to buckle under pressure. So he's going to be willing to sit out and miss whatever games he needs to miss and get rid and lose as much money as he's going to lose, because if he goes to the right market or any market he goes to, because he's new, fresh, and who he is, he's going to make his money back up. He's going to make that money back, and he's going to be happy when he goes to work each and every day. And that part, you cannot discount that. You cannot understand how important quality of life is for people in general, including multimillionaires that play for your favorite football team.
Yeah, people quit all the time. People quit good jobs just to get a part-time job to be happy. Like, yeah. I had a job just before I got into radio. I had a job that I hated, and I left that job and went jobless, and I never felt better in my life because all that stress is gone. I ain't got to worry about all that BS they was doing, and it ended up working out pretty good for me.
Man, life is too short, bro. Life is too short to having to go. Like, there's certain things you do because you have to do them. Like, hey, but as soon as you get an opportunity to get out of a bad situation to where mentally is kicking your ass every day, get out of that. Get out of that situation. If it's in a toxic situation, get out as soon as you can, and make sure you do the things necessary that you can try to keep yourself out of going back into a situation like that. And so, like, for that reason alone, but also all the other factors, I can't be mad at Deshaun. I can't be mad. It's going to suck because the team that I support the most is going to not be what they should have been. Because I remember being in my media room, jumping up and down, talking shit when we're up 24-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs, thinking we're going to have the AFC Championship game at NRG next week. That shit is going to happen. And it went from that to fucking an ass kicking. And I said after that, I said, The fan base will never forgive Bill O'Brien for this game. And you know what? You don't think the players didn't feel some type of way for some of the decisions that was being made? And like, do you not think that some of these, and that's part of the reason I think they got rid of some of these guys and let some of these guys go, because they felt like the one in charge is making dumbass decisions, and he's not being held accountable for it. He got a bump. He went from the head coach to the GM after that shit happened. It was announced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hold on, things are not functioning properly here. And football players are used to things being done a certain way. If my ass don't do my job, I'm gonna get cut. I'm gonna be doing something else for a living. And you operate off of that. And it goes for the coaches too. In this organization, there's been too many people that aren't being held accountable for their actions. And that's why you have so much chaos. That's how you have so much dysfunction right now. They got to figure out a way to get out of it. And like I said, they're starting to make some moves to try to get themselves out of that. But in the process, there's still people you're going to lose along the way. And I've resigned myself to believe that Deshaun Watson is not going to be a Houston Texan going forward. And it's too late for that. You know what I mean? There's that bridge has already been burned. And if somebody repairs that bridge, you need to build that person a bridge here in Houston somewhere and name it after him. If David Culley can figure out a way to get Deshaun Watson back in the fold, they need to name a fucking bridge after him. It shouldn't say be someone no more on the trestle. That should say be Culley. Because if you can pull that off, you've repaired a situation that was what's the word? Irreparable. Like you couldn't expect somebody to put that back together. I have no confidence in that happening. I think Deshaun has got his mind made up. And once his mind's made up, now the Texans have to do what's best for the team, which is get as much value for him as possible. So I think he'll get a trade done somewhere in April.
Yeah. All right. Last question for me. Tim Kelly's sticking around to be the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were saying they wanted to keep him around because, Deshaun Watson wants him back and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of took that with a grain of salt because McClain asked him that question in the press conference. And I don't see somebody like a Deshaun Watson saying, nah, he don't need to be around. And
he's not going to say
really
nothing negative about anybody, bro. He's just not that type of dude. He's not.
Exactly. So, do you think that's the reason they kept him around, or Tim Kelly, because hoping that Deshaun Watson, can come back? Or
I think they kept Tim Kelly because they like Tim Kelly. That's the thing. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. For the longest time, people was always complaining that Tim Kelly wasn't getting the opportunity to actually do his thing. He was always having Bill O'Brien micromanage him, change things late in weeks, like all that stuff. That stuff I know for a fact is true. Like that stuff would happen. So Tim Kelly, I just look at it like this. I look at Tim Kelly like this. People was excited about Brian Daboll being offensive coordinator here in Houston. They were like, Brian Daboll, what he's doing in Buffalo, that'd be great. It's the same dude to me. You look at Brian Daboll's offense. They have a great passing game and a terrible running game. It's the same thing the Texans had. The difference between the Bills and the Texans is the Bills had a number one receiver that's top 5 in the league. They had Diggs, and they had a slot receiver that converted third downs, Beasley. Two things that the Texans didn't have. So that's why they scored more touchdowns than the Texans did. They put up the same amount of yards passing, about the same amount of yards rushing, but they couldn't finish because they had better players. You got to have players. So when you're talking about calling plays, if you was excited about Brian Daboll, people were saying Brian Daboll could come here, bring in that offense, the stuff he's did for Josh Allen. I was like, nah, man, I never believed in that because he's done a good job with that offense, but he's no better than Tim Kelly. To me, he has to show me more than one season. Brian Daboll has had an offense that's been a top 10 offense, top 15 offense in the league one time in his entire career as an offensive coordinator. That's this year. He did it 1 year. Tim Kelly did the same. Tim Kelly's offense put up the same amount of yards. They just didn't put up the points, and he didn't even get the whole year to be the man. He had Bill O'Brien over his head for the first part of the year. Towards the end of the season, things got better. So I'm not mad at Tim Kelly being over there. There's certain people I know, like listen sometimes like showing Clint like Tim Kelly is this, Tim Kelly is that, and they're high on Dayball, but I don't get it. How can you be high on Dayball and not on Tim Kelly? It's the same dude. And I know Dayball. Like him coming here, I would have been more upset if Dayball came here than David Kelly did. Because if David Kelly being here, at least I know, all right, at least I know it's not going to be 100% more of the same when they talk about that Patriot way shit. And Dayball, like I said, he's only did it 1 year. You can, if he can put up another season, and they should put up another season next year and figure out how to improve his run game, then I could say, all right, Dayball need to get it. Now, Eric Bieniemy is not the coach here. He should be the coach here. The reason why he's not the coach here is because the Texans' timeline don't match up with Eric Bieniemy's timeline. The timeline and expectations for the Texans is not the same as the timeline expectation for a guy like Eric Bieniemy. That's why he's not the coach. People will be like, oh, he interviews bad. Come on. We've seen enough evidence of other guys getting jobs that you can say, all right, if this dude can do a press conference like this and still be a head coach, then why are y'all tripping on EB? Or if that dude can, why are y'all tripping on him? Eric Bieniemy is a dude that knows what he wants, has expectations, and has a certain type of prerequisites for me to come into your situation and leave where I'm at. I'm making $3 million a year to win Super Bowls right now. If I'm going to go be a head coach somewhere, I need these things in place. And a lot of these franchises don't want to wait. And a lot of these franchises don't want somebody to come in with that type of mentality. They want somebody that's just grateful to be there. And there's something to be said for that, being grateful to be there. But at the same time, if you got something about you, kind of that dog about you that you want to be the alpha head coach, you're going to say, no, I need it done this way. And so that's why Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach yet. I need to get that in before because a lot of people be trying to, they like to throw shots at EB. They like to throw shots at people. It's like, this is the same organization that did not interview Robert Saleh. That's crazy. They didn't even interview him. That's crazy. Why you don't interview him? The stuff that's coming out of potential reason why he didn't interview him, that's problematic. That you can't have. There's stuff out here, legitimate reports that they might not draft Zach Wilson because he's a Mormon. That's crazy. That you can't allow stuff like that to fester. And when you have that mentality, I don't care about what's going on outside the building. In one respect, it can be good, but in other respects, it will eliminate opportunities for you to improve as a franchise. Because if agents out there believe, these are guys that you're doing business with, they believe if you're a Mormon, if you're a Muslim, if you are atheist, whatever you want to think that's against what y'all, and we're not going to do business with them. You're eliminating people that could come help. I mean, it's bad business, man.
Yeah, and even with Justin Fields, man, I feel like the Texans, I'm not confident that they will even draft Justin Fields, because I'm not saying him and Deshaun is the same player, but I feel like they're similar. So
they got the same agent too. How does that affect things?
So I just don't see them getting rid of Deshaun Watson and drafting Justin Fields. So I could see them passing up on him and Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, you got to also think about it like this. How often does that regime, like a Nick Caserio, his whole life has been with Bill Belichick, how much value do they put in quarterbacks to where they would draft them with the number 2 overall pick? Is that the way they normally operate? No. So, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's a lot of layers. And so with that being the case, it's like you don't know what you're going to get. And they like that. They want you to not know what they're going to do. This is what, Figgy, I got to tell you this going forward. Don't expect shit out of a press conference. Nothing. They're going to give you nothing. Absolutely nothing. Do not get frustrated. I got to have these conversations with Clint Turner and Show and these guys. They are not going to give you a damn thing. And as a player, you appreciate that. Yeah, don't tell them shit, man, because I know nothing to do anyway. Like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. But if you get frustrated because Nick Caserio don't give you anything as a GM, you're going to be a frustrated motherfucker. You'll be walking around like JJ every day during the last half of the year because they're not going to give you anything. They want you to not have a clue what they're going to do. All you can do is base your analysis and how you view them based off of the evidence of the moves that they're making. You look at the coaching staff that they're putting together, that's a coaching staff that you put together when you're trying to develop young talent. They got some good coaches, good teachers. So that means expect them. Those moves makes me believe they're rebuilding because they got to bring in young players. They got to develop these players. That's the type of coaching staff to put together. That's something to be hopeful about and excited about because they're bringing in teachers. But if you're Deshaun Watson, I don't need teachers in here. I need people that's going to get me over the top because I'm trying to win now. Like he seemed like the type of dude that's tired of hearing about Pat Mahomes. Like that's his boy, but nah, I'm the best in the league. That's his mentality. That's what you want. I want somebody that wants to win. If you're not trying to win now and you're not making moves to win now, then we need to figure out another arrangement, especially after you lied to me.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of glad they didn't bring in Bieniemy at this point because I feel like the Texans not going to be good the next 2 years. And I just ain't want that Bieniemy smoke from people saying, "Oh, see, I told y'all."
I told you he told you he was trash. He's just a running backs coach.
Exactly. So I'd rather him sit out another year and just go to the right situation.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Anytime there's a head coaching opportunity, it's a bad situation. Like inherently, if you had to fire your coach, something went wrong. Now some situations are worse than others. Like the LA Chargers situation. That's a great situation because they got a lot of young talent on that roster. And so they got money under the cap. There's things that's bad about it. The ownership might not spend as much money. They're the second thought in that city. But when the players they got in the building, they got a young quarterback on a rookie deal. Staley has a great opportunity to come out looking like Sean McVay. That would have been a great situation for Eric Bieniemy. A lot of these other situations, if you're losing your head coach, it's not a good situation. So Eric Bieniemy, all he needs in the situation he goes to is a team that's saying we're willing to invest what we need to invest into the players we acquire in order to win as soon as that we can win. And if you have a mentality like that, you're going to do that because EB is going to bring people with them as far as staff, as far as players that want to play for him, as far as whatever, because he has that cachet around the league. Guys respect him as a coach and they know that he knows what he's doing. So when he gets that chance, that'll be dope. He'll mess around and stay in Kansas City for the next 5 years and then end up coaching the Chiefs when Andy Reid leaves. Then in the process, they'll mess around and win 8 championships. And then that's the thing about it. I would start hating the Chiefs if they did that, but that's my old team, so I can't be mad at them. It ain't like the Patriots. The Patriots I always couldn't stand and they win all the time, so I'd be pissed off. But if the Chiefs keep winning, I'm just like shit already. That's what
they're probably gonna run the table too.
It starts on Sunday.
Yep. We'll see how it go, man. GOAT versus future GOAT. So we will see. And the press conferences, I think there's going to be some new rules this year. I think they're going to have one question from McLean and then 5 questions from season ticket holders, quote unquote. And that's going to be it.
What was your thoughts on that, man?
Dog, that was hilarious.
It was funny, but I was like, I feel like people don't know any better. Like, I think people forget of what things are like and what they're going to be like.
Do you think that whole press conference was kind of planted with the certain questions and then the fan at the end with that question particularly?
For sure. They kept it short. They kept it short. There are certain questions that were asked that was like, come on, dog. But that was intentional. They know that there's a lot of negativity going around the franchise right now. The media would love it. And fans would get more information out of it, but it wouldn't be smart for you to put yourself in that position right now to have a full-on press conference and just answer every question and sit there. You know what I mean? Like that's not smart right now because there's really nothing that you can say that's going to give people confidence that you know what you are doing without you showing your hand. And they don't want to show their hand. They don't want to tell people what they're going to do. They don't want them to know what they're going to do. That's bad business if you do that. So, like I said, Nick Caserio, I trust that he knows what he's doing because I've seen the organization he's been in. I've seen the moves that they made. I have evidence to back it up to say this dude has learned from one of, if not the best at doing it. So he's going to bring that mentality here. He's going to have his own little spin to it, but he's going to bring that mentality here. So y'all don't expect nothing out of no press conferences, man. You're not going to get any nuggets. You're going to have to read so many tea leaves because he's better at. Remember, Jack Easterby tried to be Nick Caserio for the past year and a half. and did a poor job at it. Nick Caserio's actually here. So a lot of those things that was like, why the hell they do that? Or why did they do that? They're not going to have all these availabilities. And when they ask questions about people they're looking at, it's going to be very generic. They're not going to give you anything. It's going to be about the team. It's going to be tough. People going to still hear tough, smart, and dependable. You're going to hear all those things. The thing that's going to help temper that is if you listen to Cully at that press conference, bro, you know Cully is going to be a dude that the media and the fans are going to like.
Yeah.
Like he's a likable dude. You're not going to be able to dislike him. You're only going to dislike him because of what he represents and why he's here. That's the only reason you could dislike him. Like, he's not going to be like Romeo. People started to get mad at Romeo because Romeo was just like, man, listen, man, what y'all want me to do? I'm just trying to hold y'all want me to know who the name of this rookie is from all this type. Like, I know his number. Like, yeah, and he's just this type of demeanor anyway. Cully gonna be in your face, smiling, happy. This is what we're gonna do, enthusiastic, positive. You can't get mad at him. I ain't mad at Cully at all, man. I'm happy for Cully that he got an opportunity to be a head coach. And at the worst case scenario, he's gonna get paid 5 years, however $1 million, and he's gonna be able to affect young men in a positive way and affect this community in a positive way. And that's all he cares about at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And they're gonna try to win as many games as possible, but people that get mad at Cully and cuss out Cully and talking about he's a do boy and company man and all that type shit, I need to know what you do for a living. I need to know what that person does for a living. And if you're not the boss yourself, you should be quiet.
That's fair. That's actually a better way to look at it, because I was going to say I don't like him, because not necessarily what he represents, because I'm sure he has good intentions. I just don't like people who tell long ass stories for no reason. He was going on and on with that damn story about Parcells. I forgot what the question even was by the time he finished it. So I was like,
but listen to the question though, Ryan. The question they asked was, what did Aaron say? He said, talk to us about your relationship getting recruited by Parcells. Talk about your relationship with John Harbaugh, Andy Reid. It was like 4 questions in one. So basically, he's just like, go through the timeline of your life. Tell us your career story. Like, tell us about how you got to
was 6 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. But the way the question was asked, can you tell me your life story in less than 5 minutes?
Fair enough. I forgot the question stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot what the question was because the answer went on so long.
Leave Cully out of this, though. It ain't his fault, dog.
Yeah,
you can't be mad at him. If you're not mad at Deshaun, you can't be mad at Cully. Deshaun trying to get out of here because he's trying to handle his business. He trying to be a head coach probably his whole life. Cully is one of the same brothers that been in the league for the longest time, got passed over, didn't get opportunities, man. Maybe he would have got opportunities if he was not who he was or what he looked like. He didn't fit a certain mold. And so I can't get mad at him because he took the opportunity. And what happens if he actually comes here and they have success? You know what I'm saying? So you'll never see me get mad at Cully. I'm happy for that man. He got an opportunity to be the boss.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad for him at first because it's like, man, you going into a situation where you might not come out there that good, but at the end of it all, man, he is 65. He got his first coaching gig. He's getting paid. He's living his dream right now of being a coach.
Yeah. So guaranteed contract, 5-year deal. They got to pay every penny. It ain't like players. The players, they cut you after year 3.
Yeah, and it's not like
that's fully guaranteed. So let him eat cake.
Yeah, and if he do have 2 bad years, I'm sure he could go back to what he was doing before.
Yeah.
So it's not like he a young coach and that messed up his whole career where he can't get a head coaching job again.
It is a win-win situation for David. For him personally, it's a win-win situation for him. For fans, they look at it like this is giving us evidence and a precursor to what it's going to be like for the next few years. So you pissed off. I understand it completely. I understand it, but I can't be mad at Cully personally. I can't be mad at that man at all for taking his opportunity, because I don't know. It'd be like, I don't know what station don't you like, Ryan Rocky?
Oh, what station don't I like?
What station do you not mess with? Like, it would be like people getting mad at Shannon Sharp right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Shannon Sharp is on Fox Sports.
Mm-hmm.
But Shannon Sharp all he does is speak truth on that air, but it is with a underneath an umbrella that a lot of his people don't rock with, right?
Yeah.
So nobody gets mad at Shannon Sharp, so why are we gonna get mad at Cully?
Fair enough.
Let Unc spin, man. Let
You
Boosie spin.
you sold me on him, man. You sold me on him. I didn't look at it from that way, but now
Ryan,
I'm
you would
down with
take
it,
that
man.
job. You would take that job if I
Oh
said,
hell yeah, I
like,
would,
take
man.
that job. I'd be like, I can still be me. They're not telling David Culley to be nothing but himself.
Yep.
So I can still be me. And it's a lot of people pissed off at where I work at, but they're not pissed off because I didn't do shit. It's just because of the stuff they did. Oh, I'm finna go here and rock this and be me. And maybe if I be me enough, it could help people change the perspective of how they look at this entity. And that's true because your first inclination is I'm not rocking with Fox Sports or Fox.
Yeah.
Unc on there, they'd be like, shit, I watch the hell out of Unc. So
I think people were more probably mad at him because I know we said we're wrapping this up, but I think people were only really mad at him because they were looking for a hire that would make Deshaun, because people are still in this kind of weird alternate universe where they think that this is going to work out and Deshaun will say, hey guys, I'm back on board. So they were hoping for a hire that would make him happy. And of course, this hire would not. But then again, he already mentioned weeks ago that no matter who the coach was, it didn't matter. He was out regardless. So, yeah, I can't put that on Cully, man.
But you got to understand, a lot of fans don't pay attention to every little thing that goes on.
Yeah, that's true.
Fans are living their life. You living your life. I got to take my kid to practice today. And I gotta make sure I'm on work on time. Like, damn, I gotta get my my tires changed because it's riding low. Got all these different things going on in life, and then you hear something in passing. Well, shit, they said that if he liked the Bieniemy, and the Bieniemy come, then shit, he gonna be the coach. Then he gonna stay. All right, cool. We need Bieniemy. We need Bieniemy. Just gonna keep Deshaun. But through all of these different reports, it was stated that now he said he's not coming back regardless.
Very
it's
true.
What it is, man. I
true.
can't get mad at him. I can't. Yeah. I asked the question, why did it get to this point?
Yeah, I think that's what we're all asking, man. We don't really know how. I know we can explain it as to how we got here, but it will never make sense. You know, out of all the things that have happened in 2020, the last thing I thought sports wise is that I'm actually pissed because I got my nephew a Deshaun Watson jersey, like the legit one that cost $80. And I was looking because he's a big Texans fan. He's big into football. And I was like, okay, I know JJ Watt ain't going to be here next year. And I'm like, what player could I get that
he's going to be here? I know Poe's going to be here for a long time.
I got that jersey for Christmas, and now this man has played his last game as a Texan, most likely. So, yeah, very, very sad, crazy times we're in. But I mean, we gonna make it, man.
You figured out your nephew gonna figure it out sooner than later. Life isn't fair, man. Things
very
don't
true.
Work out the way you think they should. That's part of life, man.
It's wild, man, because you can't buy a jersey from nothing now. You can't buy a Rockets jersey because Harden gone. You don't know who else going to be left on that team.
See, what you do is you buy the jersey and you customize it and put your name on the back.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You're not going to change your own name unless you want to. But that's what you, because like, true. Hey, those city jerseys for the Rockets, like, I'm not a Rockets fan, bro. I'm from Dallas. I would rock that.
Clean.
Maybe not a jersey, but that hat. Like those city jerseys is clean, dog. So get you a Rocket City jersey and then put Figgy on that bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be dope. I don't know what
don't put no other man's name on your back.
Unless it's Jordan.
Yeah. This is the GOAT.
Jordan he's like
So very, very, we're always happy to have Wade Smith on, man. He's a very versatile guest. I mean, the last time we had him on, we were talking about George Floyd and racial dynamics in America. Great conversation there. This time we just broke down the Texans, man, and broke it down well. Great to have some real expertise, a real expert in the field speak on the truth and really enlighten us, man. So Thank you for joining us. You got anything? I know it's a pandemic, so a lot of events, you got a charity organization, but a lot of events have been rolled back. You got anything you want to promote? Anything you got coming up now personally?
The events that we got going on, man, are all virtual. You know, we do our school visits with Reading with the Pros, and we got a couple of virtual visits coming up in March. If you are part of an elementary school whether you at the district level or at the actual specific elementary school level, if you would like to have a Reading with the Pros event at your elementary school sometime in the spring, before the summer gets here, you can go to info@wadesmithfoundation.org and put in a request to see if we can get on your schedule before the end of this year. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as promoting stuff. No new books coming out right now. I'm just chilling as far as that goes. But as far as the foundation, yeah, we're doing our visits with schools, and as far as doing events in person, we've had to do a lot of rescheduling and adapting and postponing and cancellations because you can't get together in large groups. So hopefully we can get these vaccinations up and get people to where we can join together again. We can actually have group events and not worrying about being 10 feet apart and 6 feet apart or whatever it is and wearing masks and stuff, and we can get back to some sense of normal. I don't know when it's going to happen, but right now as a foundation, we're just kind of in the holding pattern, but we're still giving back to the community as far as reading the kids, and probably going to figure out a way to do some type of virtual book drive. A lot of things in the work, of course, but right now that's the main thing. If you'd like to get myself and various professionals in all realms to be able to do a virtual Reading with the Pros event at your school, just reach out to info@wadesmithfoundation.org, or you can reach out to me personally at wade@wadesmithfoundation.org, and try to answer those emails as prompt as possible and get people on the schedule.
That sounds good, man. Great to hear you're still doing that. You can follow this man, Smitty, SMITTY 74 all day on Twitter. And if you by any chance hear that him and Travis Johnson are doing a show, Smitty and Trap Show on 610, make sure you tune in, man. I think that is the best. I'm campaigning for y'all to have a full-time show, man. I've been on that campaign for a while. Y'all have the funniest, best sports show in Houston, man. Whenever y'all link up, y'all, we got to do something to get y'all a full-time show, because that show was great.
That, man. We got to get us some sponsors or something, bro, because right now the money ain't right now. You know, in a pandemic, you can only do 6 to 6 o'clock. You can't do.
I feel you.
You can't do the Smitty and Trap show. We had the show, and because of that, you had to fall back for a little bit. But we'll see, man. Maybe we can get somebody to sponsor us, and it could be their show, the title sponsor for the Smitty and Trap show, and then we can be on air, 5 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever it may be, one night a week, something like that, and do our thing. But we enjoy it, man. It's just two cats that kind of we don't even have similar backgrounds like we do, but we don't. But we just got a good chemistry, man. It's just like me. It's like you and your partner just talking sports and talking ball, and it comes off good. So we enjoy it when we get opportunities to do it, man. Appreciate y'all recognizing the fact that
we gotta get y'all on the show. We gotta get y'all on the podcast. We gotta get both of y'all back on the podcast, man. I want to say we wanted Arian from the beginning, and we wanted y'all too.
Yeah. The thing about it, man, we would do our own podcast, but that shit ain't easy, dog. Mm-hmm. Stuff y'all got going on, man, and all the behind the scenes stuff you got to do. Like we try to do it for a little bit. It's like, man, to do it and actually be done right. Like we need a budget to where somebody that's what they do. Like we put together a podcast, and I could pay you, a couple $100 or whatever it is a week or whatever it is to put it together, and then we can just do what we do when we come into the station and do a show, and then we could do that. But that it's hard. There's a lot going on, especially when we both got so much stuff going on ourselves. Like you guys know, it ain't easy to do it on podcast.
Nah.
So to get it uploaded on all the different places, the Spotify's and all these type of stuff you got going on, it's like once you get down the system, I'm sure it's easier. But they need to come up with some type of support thing to where it's not an entity, because it's not like the radio station that does it, because they take too much off the top, but just some like contract labor. Somebody that's like, hey, this is, pay me this dollar amount, and I'm gonna put your everything you want together. You want to talk about what you need, and then we'll put it together so that y'all can just do what y'all do. Y'all can be the talent. Y'all can put the information out there. We're gonna make it look the way it looks and make it pop, so that and then do all the uploading and all of the shit that goes on behind the scene, promoting it, the marketing, and all of that, and it not cost $5,000 a month, some shit like that. Like, come on now, we both got
Yeah.
12 kids each, dog. We're not trying to spend all that money. So
I feel.
Yeah,
I think
shit,
Figgy
that
was
shit
talking
ain't no
more.
joke.
It is an investment. I think Figgy was saying we need y'all both on our podcast at the same time. But yeah, making a podcast is an investment, man. But I'm sure y'all gonna get something popping out. We got to talk to Diddy at Revolt. Get y'all on some platform or something, man, because y'all deserve it. Y'all got a dope show. Y'all got a great chemistry going on, man. So, listeners, if you hear Smitty and Trap gonna be on 610, make sure you tune in. Also, follow him on Twitter. Check out his charity organization. They do great work. And great to have him on, man. Always a very special guest, a very, very entertaining guest, and very informative guest. We love having you on, man. We definitely gonna do it again soon, man. Appreciate it.
it's always real, fellas.
Yes, sir.